Solo's directed by Ron Howard, and it was directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, but over differences with, I believe, Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy, they were taken off the project, and, well, they brought on Howard for some last-minute reshoots. Well, 70% of this movie is Ron Howard's reshoots, so it's make or break time, right? Let's get into what I thought about Solo, a Star Wars story. Solo is just more backstory for our favorite outlaw slash bounty hunter slash charming man, Han Solo. In this movie, he's played by Alden Ehrenreich, who's, I guess, recently known for Hail Caesar from what I saw, and his love interest, Qi'ra, who's played by Emilia Clarke in this film, well, they were together and then they got split up very early in the film, thus brings us to how Han Solo got to his name, how to become a pilot, all that good stuff, and they just kind of like pile it into a 2-hour and 15-minute film. And did it work? Well, I believe it did, but honestly, there's more good than bad, so let me start with the bad, feeling a little sinister, kind of like Paul Bettany. So beginning with the bad, I don't think that this is a terrible negative for the movie because it's so back and forth. So Alden Ehrenreich, I mean, he's not a bad Han Solo, it's just that he's not a great Han Solo, and he falls way in the middle too many times in this movie. I think, and immediately I noticed this, he overacts. He's trying to be Harrison Ford rather than be himself playing Han Solo. I get it, you gotta live up to the name, there's a lot of prestige behind the role, he's a legendary character, but he just tried too much with his face. There were so many animations with his face going on, he was doing so many things like It really just did not work for most of the film, but when it did work, it felt great, and I think his chemistry with other characters, I don't know, it only benefited the movie. But yeah, there's just not enough Alden Ehrenreich quality moments. There's more moments where you think to yourself, well, I mean, was he the best fit? I don't know if he was, but let me just put this out there, Alden Ehrenreich is not even the weakest part of this movie. The weakest links, honestly, are Emilia Clarke and Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson plays Tobias Beckett, who is supposed to be some sort of teacher to Han Solo, and Han looks up to him. They're both outlaws, they're both doing jobs together, but I think Woody Harrelson lived up to the first part of his name, and he was wooden. Yeah, he didn't really execute very well. His line delivery was choppy, and unfortunately the script gave him some really bad one-liners, to which he didn't feel this movie. You can tell he was the one actor out of every single actor that had that production nightmare just take a toll on him. You could see it in his face. There's wear and tear. Sure, he's a gritty older dude who's a mercenary, he's a bounty hunter, but the thing is, he didn't even feel like he wanted to be in the movie. There was no sort of urgency in his character at all. As for Emilia Clarke's character, Qi'ra, I don't think that she's very good in this role. I think she's very bound to the script, and it shows because she's forcing emotion. And especially with Alden Ehrenreich, I mean, their chemistry is less believable than Lando's chemistry with a droid. How is that possible? I don't understand, but all I can tell you is that there could have been more in the emotion department. I mean, I didn't believe her character, and that's a big problem in the film. And adding to the list of cons, I feel like the third act was a little too long. It felt very long. The 2-hour and 15-minute runtime was never feeling like an issue up until that third act, because the movie was trying to end on a very dramatic tone. The film before it paces itself wonderfully with action, and then you get into the drama, and you're like, whoa, wait, I was so captivated by all of these awesome scenes and all these great establishing shots, and now I'm here in this moment where I'm listening to a ton of dialogue and a ton of show don't tell moments. There was also some misplaced humor in this movie, but I think this is exactly where Lord and Miller's script kind of bleeds through, because remember, the entire film wasn't Ron Howard's reshoots. Some of it was Lord and Miller, and there's a scene during the Kessel Run where there's a ton of humor, back and forth banter between Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, Donald Glover, Alden Ehrenreich, and it's so fast and everything's going back and forth. None of the jokes hit, and to be honest with you, and I think this can lead into my first positive, this is exactly where I believe Disney and Lucasfilm got it right. They had to abandon Lord and Miller's U because this isn't a poor man's Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a Han Solo film. Ron Howard really did save this movie. I love Ron Howard. I love what he's done with so many films in the past, especially Rush. The way he's directed action in Rush, it's similar to this almost, because the shot selection was so perfect. It was almost flawless in moments. The film opened up with Han boosting a speedster, and I felt I was in the moment, and that's so cool. His director of photography, Bradford Young, who did Arrival, I mean, y'all, this is one of the most gorgeous Star Wars films I think I've ever seen. And it's awesome, and the movie's so much better for it. The action also felt very natural, very real. The warfare was definitely felt here more than it did in Rogue One. Honestly, I think that we could have done with more of Han in the trenches, but it's okay that they kind of fast forwarded. I think that everything felt so great. And the reason the film felt so natural is also because of the practical effects and the props that they use.
You see, how'd you guys let me beat you on that one? Come on. There's no liars in this game, just players.
The seat taken?
Nobody's in the seat that ain't taken, friend.
So this is, Sabak?
Sabak.
Sabak. Got it.
I mean, there are some aliens crafted in this movie that are just so cool to look at. I mean, it reminds me of the old trilogy, and I think that's why this film is going to succeed with so many fans that love and are yearning for the old trilogy. It's because the allure of 4, 5, and 6 is found in Solo, and that's a testament also to Jonathan and Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote the screenplay for this. They've wanted to do this movie for a little while, I've heard, and I think that this is a cool moment for both the writers, directors, and the fans. As for who crushed it in the acting department, I mean, the Golden Award, and I mean, honestly, he probably could get nominated for this. It goes to Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. He's so good. I wanted to know a little bit more about his character, and I got more than I actually asked for. It's so nice to see how he embodies Billy D. Williams as Lando and just makes it his own in a sense. I mean, this is really awesome, and whenever he's on screen, he steals every moment. And like I said earlier, Paul Bettany is awesome as Dryden Voss, who leads the Crimson Order, the rebel group. Well, rebel actually, they're just outlaws, to be honest. I think that he did a good job at being very sinister. Another good supporting actress is Thandie Newton. She's so good in this movie, and she thrives in the role she's in, even though it's a limited role. Of course, I have to mention the relationship between Chewbacca and Han. I think that for the most part it did work pretty darn well. I don't think it was always aces, and that's because there was a ton of fan service in those moments. But Joonas Suotamo did a great job as Chewbacca. This is a very good role for Joonas Suotamo, and I liked it a lot. So without going in depth into many spoilers, and Lord knows I want to, Solo far exceeded my expectations. It's actually a good film. It has flaws, but the action is enjoyable. It's wonderfully shot. There are great performances here. Sure, maybe Alden Ehrenreich didn't do the greatest job, but it's excusable in moments, and I think I can look past it. So I think that, hey, this movie works, and Ron Howard saved this film. So kudos, Ron Howard, but you don't need the kudos from me. Hey, if you like this review of Solo, A Star Wars Story, go ahead and give this video a like. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to see more in the time being, click the subscribe button. If you want to see more content from me at Reflect the Screen, you can go ahead and go to reflectthescreen.com for news articles and different pieces that might not make its way in front of the camera. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening.